Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We have a Verasity video for you guys today. VRA on the exchange. It's a topic we haven't covered for 9 months, which is a bit of a disgrace. So apologies for all you Verasity holders and fans out there, including myself, because I've held Verasity for many years. This is a really interesting, exciting project. So for those that are new to the channel or have not heard of Verasity before, it's a really interesting project relating specifically as well to digital advertising, and I'm just going to pick out some numbers, some new numbers, probably since the recent or previous videos that we did of Verasity, in relation to the market value of this sector, because it's absolutely gigantic, and we'll talk about why very quickly Verasity is such a powerful entity in this sector moving forwards. Of course, the utility of the token is very important for us as investors, because obviously that is what helps fluctuate the price in the markets. So we'll go into that for sure. Before we do that, don't forget to check out the other videos on the channel and make sure you smash that subscribe button. Absolutely flying through the numbers. Thank you so much for the support. Let's go straight into this one, guys. So first and foremost, I think it's quite important to understand these numbers as well, just from its following perspective. So it's mentioned in a recent tweet, literally a few days ago, or an X. I don't even know what you call them these days. I don't really care. But in a nutshell, over 250,000 followers now on CoinMarketCap. There are over 423,000 people with Verasity or the VRA token on their watch list. I am definitely one of those. And for sure, in general, they have a huge amount of following in relation to their social media and everything as well. So you can take that with a bit of pinch of salt, but I think the key factor here is that there's more eyes than ever before on Verasity, and this is really substantial power when it comes to a bull cycle in the near future. So those that are perhaps coming into the crypto space or are new and thinking, well, I want to get ready for these bull runs, what are the kind of things that you want to be looking out for? Well, of course, you want to be looking out in terms of researching the project itself, what its capabilities are in the world, in the digital space as well, or in the crypto space in general. And then of course the pattern of how many influencers jumping on things, the hype mentality, of course, is its own separate thing. But for me personally, as an investor, a long-term investor or a long-term holder, I'm looking at things that equate to what it's really about. And in amongst that, of course, the team is a really big factor of that. I know a couple of people out the Verasity team. It's absolutely phenomenal as they've been building over the last few years. But of course, as I said, the following, because you have to anticipate that, okay, let's suggest that maybe out of all the people that are, maybe following this channel, you could argue some are bots, for example, but you could also argue that even if 50% of this is a huge number of people following this project, and that does have a massive stance in bull runs, because you can imagine the engagement factor, the excitement, the FOMO that can be kicking into these kind of things. So that was a quick point there, and I think it's definitely a justifiable point for sure as this moves forward. But it leads on to, what are the other exciting things about Verasity? So for those that don't know, they've got a lot of patents worldwide, and in this really cool thread that they've done recently, they have actually sort of mentioned all the different ones, not all of them, but certainly all the major ones they've had massive involvement with. And we've covered pretty much most of these, to be honest. I think one of the most key ones was the EU initiative around the patent aspects of proof of view. What does proof of view mean? This is where the mechanics, or some of the mechanics of the token, really come into fruition. Digital advertising, of course, is everywhere. Even just on YouTube, you probably watched this video and seen an advert before or mid-roll or afterwards, whatever, across the board. And it's the same. Amazon are now obviously here in the UK implementing adverts in most of the things that we watch, as are probably many other platforms, and of course even on TVs now. But we're looking at the digital aspect here, and what's been happening over the many years. One of the first videos we did on Verasity was showcasing the hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars that are wasted through potential fraudulent activity of digital views and ad spend. And what we mean by this is either companies have given false information about how many views they're providing, and ultimately when a supplier or a company gets involved with ad spend with that company, and the company turns around and says, we can get you X amount of views, and people go, okay, they estimate or calculate the ad spend or budget based around that and engagement, click-through rates, whatever it might be, or conversion to a sale, it makes a massive impact. We'll go into that in a moment. The other switch side of that as well, of course, is just general proving of views, in the sense that some may be paid per view, etc. So it's all of these things putting into play. And as digital ad spend and usage increases over the years, and these numbers are getting staggering, guys, absolutely huge. This 525 billion euros annually to the economy in the EU just from digital ad contributions, absolutely massive. In the US, 440 billion. So let's look at this because it's really interesting. And these numbers give you a figure in your head of the market capability of what's ahead. And that's not saying that Verasity is going to take every single bit of it, because there's a few other companies as well. You've got like Theta as an example, doing similar things. But Verasity has a few arms for sure. It has an esports kind of platform. This is heavily involved around the viewing of esports streaming and things like this. Just bear in mind that this has gone a bit stagnant recently, but in my opinion, I think they will re-release this over the next year or two as the markets increase further and more people come into Web3 gaming. I think you'll see a lot more blockchain games, rather than your traditional ones. And that's very much the view to earn capacity. Rewarding people for watching things, and that alone, guys, even in the gaming industry, I think there's something stupid like 700 or 800 million people globally just watching games, and then you're trying to reward time for that, and you can collect these tokens, the VRA tokens, you can convert them into in-game assets, you can convert them into fiat currency, obviously, or you can put them in your Vera wallet to stake. So there's a whole nice economics or ecosystem build there. But we're going to pull this back to the main narrative point here about proof of view. Digital ad spend worldwide will hit $600 billion this year, up 9.5% from 549 in 2022. Now, this number is a lot more significant in 2024 for sure, but it shows you the capacity of what growth pattern there is there, and what kind of money is being spent by companies and organizations around the world. We're looking at that in a bit more detail. This is where it gets massive. You think of all the sectors and industries out there that boast trillions upon trillions of dollars of market value. The digital advertising and global market in general for marketing is due to reach $1.5 trillion by 2030. Of course, influencer marketing, a huge part of that, amongst many other initiatives, as I said, by companies and industries worldwide. You see some of these companies here. Google's obviously probably one of the huge ones. Facebook ads is absolutely gigantic, and you've got those of other platforms as well. And this is not really considering even the fact of things like esports and just general other platforms that we might use on a daily basis that you can see digital ads on there. So we have the need to prove the amount of views that really happened. That's where blockchain comes in for the verification, the process, the validation aspects, and that's why the VRA token will be used. But it'll also be used for campaign generators or campaign managers, probably more AI focused in recent times, but sure, there are many marketing campaign managers out there still, and keep going, guys. Don't let the robots win. But the fact of the matter is that if you can turn around and have that proof mechanism in there, the valuation becomes more significant. It becomes more proved, and therefore you know that you're not wasting as much, if not, hopefully not any money at all. We go back to this point, which I mentioned earlier. In 2023 alone, $84 billion of ad spend is lost due to ad fraud. This is absolutely staggering numbers. The figure is expected to soar to 170 billion in 5 years. So when we start considering these numbers of the $1 trillion mark, we can also anticipate that a huge chunk of that money is disappearing because of ad fraud. This is why we hope that things like Verasity can help with this element. 22% of online ad spend is lost due to ad fraud in 2023. Mobile ad spend, of course, as well. Absolutely huge numbers. So we have things like Verasity to be able to help with this. It's absolutely phenomenal. And of course, as I said, this hits budget lines of companies when they're spending on advertising. So it's a huge market there. It's a huge market, and the opportunity, as I've said, loads of different tokenomic aspects and ecosystems of Verasity. I held mine, or still do, in the Vera wallet. I think there's still quite good return on investment on this. Let's just quickly double check, see what we've got here, because I think last time it was quite still a high percentage return. We'll probably do a separate video on that, but for me personally, I think it was obtaining something like 10%, maybe even more, in terms of staking applications. So there's definitely an opportunity still to be had there in holding it on the Vera wallet, but many companies will be using these systems more to accommodate that, for sure. But yes, I think personally, with all of those things that we talked about, particularly the patenting aspect of this, they're protecting the identity of what they're doing. They're protecting the ability, the solution. That's a significant move in itself, and the fact that we talked about these numbers is absolutely massive as well. So we've got all of these aspects here. There was a recent burn back in October, which we covered briefly. This gave a lot more power, supposedly, to the community of Verasity, but also with the strategy of the fact that they will be looking for new chains in 2024 as well. So there's lots of significant development and progress continuing, and they've got this 90 billion tokens alone that they want to help move around and utilize in the systems, in the platforms, in the solutions that they're providing. So it's a really exciting time. I'd be really interested to see what chain or chains that they use moving forward. You'll see a lot more assets now have maybe 3 or 4 different blockchain application, and that's what you need. You need interoperability, because you also need to understand that many of the companies moving forward, these Web 2 companies, are adopting Web 3, and they'll be using different blockchain opportunities. So it's really important that tokenized based or utility based tokens like Verasity are utilizing or operating on various chains. So it's a really significant thing to think about and define as you as a researcher, as you as an investor, to understand the mechanisms that are coming in the near future. So what are we investing in, and what is the future that we are investing in as well? Yes, you might be a day trader or a regular trader, but for me and many of you out there are long-term holders. Understanding the long-term vision, holding these maybe for investments of like a replacement of your pension, whatever it might be, we have to understand and figure out these things that are ahead of time as well. This is what makes it exciting for me personally, but I'll leave links to these at the end of the video. This is one of the last things that came out in January, the Q4 2023 quarterly recap. There's a huge element of information here about what they're planning for 2024, and a big chunk of that is the relation to what chains, not necessarily what chains, but the why they need to look at other blockchains and why they will have decisions potentially in Q2. So this all relates nicely to the time frames that we've been talking about, where we'll have the Bitcoin halving obviously around April time. I do think that there will be some form of market crash. Don't know how big that would be, but we need that kind of recorrection in the markets. And I think that we will see the bull runs sort of maybe September onwards, once the interest rates start reducing and we get a bit of narrative around CBDCs, basic universal income. And then you'll start seeing these projects come out of all these development modes, these relaxed conversation modes, to overhype mode. And it will be staggering, guys. Trust me, it will be absolutely phenomenal. So on that point, let's jump into the chart of Verasity. Obviously, we've had a number of moves since the last 9 months video that we did, but I've still got that prediction of 21 cents sat here in the chart that we did previously. That's around about roughly, probably maybe moved slightly since the last video, approximately 4,000% increase from its current price point. Will it get there? I still believe that it will. I think you've got to understand that the previous all-time high around 10 cents in 2021 is definitely a significant figure that we want to be aiming for in the next cycle. But with all the things we just talked about, plus the generative influx of new people coming into the crypto space, the ability for easier solutions to get into the space, PayPal, for example, many hundreds of millions of users having access to crypto. It's easier than ever before to get exchanges to understand the systems because of the education now, because of the regulation that's come in, that people have to understand risks straight away. There's more of a trust mechanism. Then on top of that, you've got utility. So I'm sticking that still in there. I do believe we will get to there. Let us know in the comments below what you think it could get to in the next bull run. But that's where I've been sat with all of those kind of macro events and thought processes in the background. The last video that we did as probably matches up with 9 months ago, because we got the fib levels here. You can see right now the price point currently around 0.007. We're not even at a cent, guys. We did back here in December get near to that cent mark again. So there's plenty of movement for growth. There is a big supply of tokens for sure. But as we said, the utility of this will grow equally with the years to come and what's coming in that market value as well. So fast forward 5, maybe even 10 years, it's going to be significant. But even in this bull run coming, I think we're going to see significant gain opportunity. So I'm just going to move this fib level across. And by the way, the grays relatively match up, so just so I'm not cheating or anything. I don't know what that one is. I'll leave it in there anyway, but let's match it up. I'm going to move this one across as well. So we've taken some kind of mid-range points and some low-level points. I just wanted to see really where this is today. So has it been matching up with some of the moves with these fib levels? And the answer is yes. You see these correlative patterns here in the trading methods of a daily chart. We can see there's some significant barriers. So we've hit back down here. We've had a lot of mechanism of resistance at this 0.006 mark. And as you can see recently, we've hit this number here, 0.007, exactly where it is today, kind of floating around this mid area. Now, of course, these aren't always fully guaranteed and fully accurate, but they give you a bit of an identifiable area of interest to potentially put points of accumulation or buying and selling points. This is where I DCA in. In general, guys, realistically, there isn't obviously a giant difference between 0.006 and 0.007 unless you've got huge significant numbers of money going in capital wise. You're not going to see huge areas of influx of profit there. But if you're staking, of course, you can take advantage of that, accumulating more. I'm more interested in the fact that whether you're buying at half a cent or just under 1 cent, the fact of the matter is we've got those 1 cent, 2 cent, 5 cent marks to hit in the future, as well as that previous all-time high at 10 cents, because you can see there's a good opportunity for Xing significantly in terms of gains. And if we get to 21 cents, that's obviously huge as well. But let's be realistic. In the short term, that's a key target for 10 cents for sure. It's great to be getting Verasity under that 1 cent mark. So I always look for those dips. And that's why these fib levels become even more important than ever before. Along with the RSI movements down here, you can see currently 67 on the 14-day, 59 on the 28. I need to see these personally around the 45-ish mark and 42 mark respectively on those two markers for me to accumulate more Verasity. But again, that's not going to see significant difference in the price, albeit as many dips as possible, as many savings as possible are definitely something I try and strive for, but not particularly too massively bothered if I'm looking at the long-term run here. So as I said, lots of opportunity. It's a fantastic project. It's a fantastic opportunity. The utility there is absolutely unique and different and very exciting. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Look at these indicators on the round side. It is quite strong still at the moment. But yes, the year is reducing a bit. I think that's going to be seen across the markets anyway. Many assets will show this kind of move as confidence is sort of filtering out, and we're waiting for these key unique economic moves in the real world outside the digital sphere and the crypto sphere. And I think that's where people will be grabbing up these kind of projects for the move forward, because trust me, in the bull run, Verasity will be one of the highly hyped projects, as well as the addition of the fantastic utility that it has. Guys, I'm going to wrap that video up there. As I said, let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you in the next Verasity update. Bye bye.